So in yesterday's class we just learnt about how to create a new text file and then how to write the data into that and how to access the existing file for reading purpose, for writing purpose and for appending mode, right? So we have seen all these three yesterday, and we also have just understood the three methods of read all, read line and read. What these three methods does exactly, okay? But we have not seen it thoroughly. Okay, so now what we do is we'll understand in this class, we understand all these three methods: read, read all and read line. Also there are few more methods and few more techniques we need to use to read the text from the notepads and all. Okay, now yesterday we have seen that when we use read line, when we use the method read line, it is reading first line by default. It reads single line and it is reading first line. And I also explained how the read line works, right? So how the read line works exactly? Okay, whenever you open the file for reading purpose, cursor will be there in the first row. So read line will work, or read line will read the line, depends on where the cursor is. Okay, the exact definition of read line or exact use of read line method is it reads the line depends on the cursor position. By default, cursor will be there in the first row so that it reads the first line always. And once after it reads the line, what it does exactly is it will move the cursor to the next line in case if next line is available. If the next line is not available, if the cursor is already in the last row, cursor will be moved to the end. Okay, cursor will be moved to the end. Right? So now if you want to read a specific line, okay, if you want to read a specific line, then what you do is, so we have seen this. As I told, there are two ways that we can do. One way is, if you want to read, first say str line text equals to, this is the variable I am using here, then notepad, whatever the file that we have opened here. Okay, so this is the file that we have opened. I have given the str file path, so the path of the file exactly where that file is located, and whatever the file that I am opening, that opened instance I am taking into a variable called notepad. Notepad is nothing but the file, that whatever I am opening here. Now we can say notepad dot read line. Then what this read line does exactly here, say str line text, whatever it is. Okay, now open it. Reading data, this is the file that we have created. Now it's a first line it is reading. Next what I am doing is, same method I will repeat one more time here. So second time I will do, one more time I am repeating. Okay, so let me open the text file here and see the output and then compare which line it is reading. So this is reading first line. Now next time, one more time I have used read line in the same script. Now what it is displaying now? Second line. If I use read line one more time, it will read third line. So what it is doing, after reading that line, it is moving to the next line, so that next time when I use read line method, it is reading next line. So if I use one more time, again it will move down and then it will read another line. Okay. Now what you can do is, if you want to read third line or if you want to read first 3 lines or 4 lines, what you can do is, for I equals to 1 to 4, so what I am doing here, so loop it for 4 times, right? Loop it for 4 times. One, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this should be the 4th line here. This is what it should be displayed. You can see that that's what it is displayed here, right? Okay, so it is reading fourth line. Now if you want to read only fourth line, you cannot do it. But what you can do is, okay, if you say that no, I don't want to display all 4 lines, I want to display only fourth line, then what you can do, display this message box outside. Now what happens is, first time it will read the first line and will be updated with first line text. Then okay, so it will go back again, I value will be 2, it will read the second line and then str line text will be updated with second line text. Third time it will update with third line text. Fourth time it will update with fourth line text. But I am not displaying that inside, I am displaying outside, right? The latest value of this particular variable will be last line text, whatever it has read. Fourth line it was reading last time, right? So fourth line text will be there in the variable. First time first line text, second time it will overwrite, third time also overwrite, fourth time also it will overwrite. So only the latest one will be there. Latest one will be fourth line. So that's how we can display only specific line text. But what you are doing here, you are reading, you are not reading only fourth line. You are reading all 4 lines, but you are displaying only fourth line here. There is no way that you can directly read the fourth line or you can directly read fifth line. You cannot do that. Okay, fine. Now I don't want to use the loop. I don't want to use the loop. I just want to read the fourth line. I just want to display the fourth line again, but I don't want to use loop like this. What else we can do here? What you can do is str all text equals to whatever the data inside that notepad, then I have to get all. Then I say read all. That means read all the lines. Then str line collection equals to another variable I am using. Then say str all text split. I am using split of str all text. Then what I need to do is I need to split with new line character. If you want to split with new line character, you say vbscript. vbscript stands for it's a new line character. Okay. Now each line will become one value. First line will be index 0. If there are 10 lines, then it will get 10 values and index size will be 9. 0 to 9 it will be. Index size 0 means first line. Index number 1 means second line. Index number 2 means third line, like that. Now if you want to get fourth line, let's see what happens here. Index of 3, fourth line I want, right? I am saying index of 3, that means fourth line. Now you can see you have got fourth line here, right? This is another way of reading the specific line. But again here I am not reading only fourth line exactly, but I am reading entire data and then I am splitting it and then I am getting only fourth line here. That means I am just displaying only fourth line. It's not like directly I have written fourth line here. Okay, so these are 2 ways to read to display the specific line of text. Okay, now what I need is, my requirement is here, it's not like only first row or second row that I need to read. What I have to do is I need to read or I need to display all the rows one by one. I need to display all the rows one by one. So there are how many? Total 6 or 7 rows are there or 8 rows are there. I want to display one by one. Okay. Now one option that what I have is here again read all and split that with a new line character. So all the lines will be into one array one by one. Then loop from 0 to u bound of that array, display one by one. I will come back to this logic again. That is one way. So what I am doing here, first you get entire text, you split that text with a new line character so that each line will be in one index number. So in the inside the array loop, for each line in that array display one by one line. You can do that. But I don't want to use like that. What I need is directly by using read line, I want to display one by one line here. Then what else I can do? What I can do here? If I want to display one by one line, if you want to read one by one line, and I want to read all the lines. Okay, so all the lines should be displayed one by one here. What can we do? Any idea? You got my question here? My question is, earlier we used only first 4 lines, we read only first 4 lines, but it's not like only first 4 lines I want to read. I want to read line by line. All the lines should be displayed one by one. So that means that I want to read all the lines, but not one time. I want to read one by one. That's what my requirement is. The basic logic is like this here. First get how many rows, how many lines we have. Loop from first to this many lines. Earlier we had to use, we had to display only 4 lines, right? I looped from 1 to 4. But now all the lines I want. Then if you want all the lines, first understand how many lines are there. So if 8 lines are there, 1 to 8 it should be. If 20 lines are there, 1 to 20. Right? Then how can you say it's a 20? First you have to get how many lines are there in the notepad. It's not only 20 lines all the time. Sometimes it could be 5 lines, sometimes it could be 10 lines, sometimes it could be 15 lines or 20 lines, like that. We don't know how many lines will be there. So what we have to do is we have to get line count, how many lines are there. But unfortunately, in this file system object, we don't have any method to retrieve the line count. We don't have any method to retrieve the line count. How many lines that we can retrieve? Sorry, how many lines we have in the notepad, we cannot get the count. So when we cannot get the count how many lines we have, then we will not be able to say this many times you have to execute. Got what I am saying here? What I am saying is, okay, if you have any method to retrieve how many lines are there, so 8 lines are there here. So if I get a method to retrieve total number of lines in this notepad, then I can use loop, say for I equals to 1 to the total number of lines, then use a read line method, so that it will execute this many times, and then it will read line by line. But I don't have any method to get line count, how many lines are there. Okay, then what should I do here? I don't have any method to get line count, but I cannot hard code how many rows are there. If I say now how many are there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines are there. I can say 1 to 8, then read line. So that read line will be executed 8 times, then one by one line it will read automatically. But if I say 1 to 8, after some time somebody added one row. Somebody added one more row. Now if I say 1 to 8, it will read till here, but this will not read this line. Then again I need to go to the script and then I need to update 1 to 9. Then if I say 1 to 9, if somebody deleted that row, that line, again that will be a problem. Right? 9th line is not there. So that is a problem when you hard code the line count, 1 to so and so line count. But what should I do? I don't have any method to get how many lines are there without hard coding. How can I manage this? That's a big question here. Then how can we manage here is, since I don't know the count how many lines are there, I cannot use for loop here, because I don't know how many times it has to execute, because I don't know how many lines are there. But I have one more method available for here for this notepad. In the file system object, I have one more method available. That method is something called at end of stream. At end of stream. What that method does exactly is, it will check whether cursor is moved to end of the file, cursor is at end of the file or not. Okay, if the cursor is end of the file, it will return true. If the cursor is not at end of the file, it returns false. How exactly that works is, first time where the cursor is, whenever I open the file, first time the cursor will be there in the first line. Now is it at end of the file? Cursor is at end of the file? No, it is not at end of the file. That returns false. It will move to the second line. Is it at end of the file? No, still false. Again third line. At end of the file? No. Here also no. So for all these lines it will return as no. But when it comes here, after reading last line, since there is no line exists, cursor will be moved to here. Now is it at end of the file? Yes. That is end of the file now. Cursor is at end of the file. Now this time that end of the stream method, that method returns true. So now what you have to say is execute till that method returns true. Keep executing, that end of stream method returns true. When it will return true? When the cursor is moved to end. So what you have to do, you should not use for loop here. You should use conditional loop. Because I have to execute by condition. I don't know how many lines are there, but I know the condition. Condition is whenever all the lines are completed, then the cursor will be moved to the end. That is what my condition. Execute till the cursor moves to end. So I have to use do while or do until. Okay, do while that file is not, while the cursor is not at end of the file, while it is not at the end, or until it becomes end. Okay, do until or do while you can use here. Got what I am saying here? So you must have to use conditional loop, and you should not use for loop here, because we don't know how many times it has to execute, because we don't know how many rows are there. Okay. Now let's see how exactly it works. So do until notepad dot, the method name is at end of stream, that is the method name. Okay, equal to true. Do loop. Then just to display, read line by line. Read line by line, and then you can display each line. Now let's see how this works exactly. First line, second line, third line, fourth line, fifth line, sixth line, seventh line, eighth line, ninth line. So one by one it is reading. So after reading ninth line, it stopped because there is no further line exists, and the cursor will be moved to end after reading ninth line. So at end of stream will become as true. Okay, so this is what at end of stream means for. If the cursor is not end, then it will be keep looping. Same thing you can say do while it is false. While it is false or until it is true. See, both will do the same thing here, but only thing is the condition I am changing. That is the main difference between until and while. Okay. So while it is false or until it is true, both are same, but you are just saying it in a different way. That's it. Passive and other way. Okay, next. Now what I need is here, just assume all these are just names. Okay, whatever I have here is names. Now let's say one by one name that I will write here. So some names I have here. Now if I run this, what it will do? One by one name it is displaying. Okay, now what I am doing is exactly why I am reading line by line here is I am looking for some name. Okay, so I will say my expected name is str expected name equal to, I'll say one name, maybe any name that I can give here. So I'm just checking whether that name is available in the notepad or not. Got my requirement here. So I have given one name here. I just need to verify whether that name is placed in that list or not in that notepad. Then what should I do here? The same logic I need to extend. So the logic will be like this. Anyway, I am looping through first name to last name here. So by checking, at end of stream, after completing last name, then end of stream will become as true. So I execute till last name. That's what it means. Then I am reading one by one line. Each line is nothing but name here. Each line is nothing but name. So I am displaying each and every name. But what I should do is here, according to my requirement, I need to compare the name, whatever name I am retrieving, one by one name, I need to compare that name with the expected name. If the retrieved name is matching with my expected name, that means that is the name that I am looking for. Then just display it as name is found. Then assume that there are 20 names. If the 10th name is found, if the 10th name is the expected name, it's not like 10th name is found. If the 10th name is my expected name, then display it as name as found. Do I need to continue to 11th line now? I don't need to continue because in between I got my expected. So logic will be like this. Execute from first to last name, execute till last name, and keep getting one by one name. Compare that name, whatever the name you are retrieving, with your expected name. If any name is matching with your expected, you just display that name is found, and then you don't need to go to the next name again because I got mine. Then you have to stop the loop. You don't need to go to the next line. How do we stop the loop in between? We have something called exit statement. So we discussed about exit statement. What is the use of exit statement? Exit statement is used to stop the loop in between, right? Then how this logic will be now? Say str actual name. I am storing the name, whatever the name that I am retrieving, I am storing that name in another variable. Expected name I am storing in one variable, actual name I am storing it in different variable. Now you say if case of trim of, normally whenever you are comparing the values, use case and trim, because sometimes by mistake they might have added space at left side or right side, but those are not valid. So when you use trim, those spaces will be eliminated. And another is, they may use a different case. So expected name you might have given all are caps or small, anything, but in the reality in the notepad they might have placed that name in a different case. So that if we use U case or L case, both will be converted into standard case, so that no matter whatever the case it is, it will just compare only the value. So that's the reason whenever you are comparing the values, the standard way of comparing is you trim the value and you convert expected and actual, you convert it to a standard case. Always you have to do that. Then if U case of trim of expected name equals to actual name equal to U case of trim of expected name, then just display that this is box, name is found. Then you can say exit do. What is meant by exit do? Exit out of the loop. Now if you use while loop here, while you can say like while at end of stream equals to false, you can still use while loop, but when you are using while loop you will not be able to write exit statement here. So we are using exit do. When the loop will be exited, there are two situations. One is it can be at the end of the file, or second condition is once the name is found. Anything can be matched. If the name is found, it will stop in between. If the name is not found, it will execute till the end. But when you use while loop here, you will not be able to stop that loop in between. So you have to every time you have to execute till end of the file. So this is the reason why we don't use while loop. While exit while is not there, only exit do or exit for we have. Then I will display whatever the name that we are getting. I'm just displaying the name here one by one. So this is to understand whether it is stopping or it is still moving to the next name, even it is matching. Okay, so this name is not matching with expected, so it should continue. Not matching, it should continue. Not matching, should continue. Not matching, should continue. Then matching, says name is found, no further name, it's reading. How many names after that? You can see there is one more name after that, but it did not display next name. The reason because based on the condition, then I am stopping the loop. That is what exit statement meant for. Okay, so this is one of the situation where we can use conditional loop than for loop. When I am reading the data from notepad, then I don't have any method to say how many lines are there. Okay, so if you don't have how many lines are there, you don't know how many times that read line should execute. So in such cases what you do is, instead of saying how many times it has to execute, you say the condition saying that, okay, no matter how many lines are there, but execute till the cursor goes to end. So that is condition. So when you don't know how many times, but you should know the condition at least. So if you are executing based on the condition, then you use do while or do until. Then this is one of the situation where we use exit statement. So not all the times it has to execute till the end. So in between, why I am reading line by line here? To do some validation. Okay, that validation may become true in between only. I am getting line by line, one by one name, but the name, I may get the name in between. So if I get the name in between, I don't need to move till the end every time. So as soon as I find the name in between, I have to stop there. Then based on that condition inside, you can still use exit statement. So by using alternative condition, you can stop the loop here. Okay, this is what the meaning of exit statement. That time we did not get to big, much examples for exit statement. Okay, so if the name is not found, it will be executed till end. If the name is found, then it will be stopped in between here. Okay, now say the name is there or might not be there. What in case if the name is not there? Okay, so some name I will give here, some other name I will give. I just giving the name as tester. That name is not there, right? How many times loop will be executed? Till the end. No name is there. Vijay is the last name, right? It executed till last name. Fine. So no name is matching, so that it executed till end. Exit statement is not executed. Why exit statement is not executed? Because condition was not satisfied. So there are two possibilities here. Either execute till the end or stop in between based on the condition. Okay, this is main advantage of using do loop. But when you are using while loop, you will miss out the advantage of exit statement. Okay, stopping the loop in between. Okay, now what I have to do is, when I am writing the script, validation will be like this. If the name is found, display the message as name is found. If the name is not found, then don't keep quiet. Just display the message saying that name is not found. Right? If the name is found, pass it. If the name is not found, fail it. Then how can I say here in this logic where I can say that name is not found? I have to give a message box saying that name is not found. In case if the name is not there, then where that message box will fit here in this logic? Okay, else is it? Here. Okay. Name is not found. Okay, how many agree for this? How many will agree for that? Got the logic what I am saying here? If the name is found, display it as name is found. If the name is not there, If the name is not there, it has to give me message saying that name is not there. It's a straightforward. Now what I need is, I want to display the message saying that name is not found if the name is not there. I want to place that message box somewhere in my logic. Where that message box should be placed in the logic. Anyone? So said else. Else, okay, if the name is matching, say that name is not found. If the name is not matching, just display the message box as name is not found. This is one logic somebody told. Now how many agree for that? Okay, let's see how this logic works. Here, not matching. What it display? Not found. Second, not matching again. Again it will display not found. So not found will be displayed for all the names this time. Those many times fail statement will be written. But it's not right. How many times I should say name not found? Only once. Logically, how do you do that when you are searching for something? When you have 20 values or when you have 20 people, assume that, okay, take this room only. Okay, I am searching for somebody. Okay, I am searching for somebody. Assume that just name is Kiran. Okay, but I have the collection of people in this room. Then I need to verify whether the Kiran is there or not. If the Kiran is there, just say that Kiran is there. If Kiran hasn't come, then I have to say that, okay, he hasn't come. Right? Then how the logic should be written now? Okay, take from first person. Okay, go one by one now. As like we did here, we are reading line by line, one by one name we are taking, right? Similarly here, take one by one person. Take the first person. Get the name of that person. Okay, if the person name is Kiran, then say that Kiran has come. You stop there. You don't need to go to the second one. But if first person is not Kiran, I should not display that Kiran is not there. Kiran might be there in the remaining people, right? So ignore that, come to the second one. See the Kiran is there, or is the second person is Kiran. If the second person is not Kiran, then don't display that it's not there. Move to the third person. Go to the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, one by one. Once after all the people are completed, still no person's name is matching with Kiran, then you have to say that Kiran is not there. Got what I am saying here? But now according to this logic, what you are saying is, you are comparing with first person. If the first person is not Kiran, then immediately you are saying that he is not there. But you are forgetting remaining people here. Again, after displaying that, you are going for second person. Then if the second person is not there, again you are saying that Kiran is not there. But that's wrong, right? There's many times you don't need to say that Kiran is not there. Kiran might be there somewhere. But if the Kiran is 10th person, then 9 times you are saying that Kiran is not there. That's not wrong here. So what you have to do now? What you have to do? Okay, so first search in all the people. If no person is matching with your expected, then you say that, okay, he is not here. Okay, then what should we do here? This else is in wrong place. Okay, so you don't need to give here. Sorry?
After SQL expression, you should have like message the name is not found.
No, that's also wrong. Okay, what we do is here, in these kind of situations, when you are searching in multiple collection or collection of values, we use something called flag variables. Okay, we have something called flag variables. Okay, so what we do, we'll keep the flag variable as, just take some scenario here. Okay, I will keep one, maybe just some circle or anything that I will give here, or maybe I will keep cloth or anything, some mark I will keep. Default color of that mark is red. Just consider default mark. Before I start searching, I will keep it as red. I will give a condition here. If person matches, turn that mark into green. If the person doesn't match, keep that mark as red only. But if the person matches, turn that mark to green. Okay. Now compare the first person. First person is not matching. Keep it as red. Second person is not matching. Keep it as red. Third person is matching. Is matching. Then what it should do? Turn it as green. Now you stop the loop. You come out. Come out of the loop now. Come out of this room. Okay, after searching. So maybe you come out of the room after finding or without finding. Both the situations you have to come out at certain situation. If you have found that, what is that color? Green. Because as soon as the person is matching, you are turning that mark color as green. If person is not matched, you fail to find the person. What will be the mark color? Red. So now this will be your validation outside. So now once you come out of the room, then you look at the color of that mark. If the mark color is remain red, that means that you did not find that particular person. If the mark color is green, that means that you found the person. Got what I am saying? That's called a flag, we said. So use some flag variable there and give some default value. And search inside. Loop through all the people or all the values and search. If the person is found, or if you got your expected inside the loop, then change that variable value from default to some other value. If you did not get the value, then don't change the value of that variable. So that variable contains default value only. Now come out of the loop. After coming out of the loop, verify whether that flag variable, that variable contains default value or some other value. If that variable contains default value, then now that value was not changed. So no value is matched. If that variable contains some other value than the default, then you got the value, you got your expected. Now how that logic works here is, I am creating one more variable here, say BLN val found. BLN stands for Boolean, just a naming convention. You can use any variable name there. Then default value I am giving is false. Default value of that variable is false. Then as soon as the condition matches here, after displaying that found, then I am changing to true and then come out. Before I come out, I am changing to true and then I am coming out. Okay. So now if this doesn't turn true, what it means that condition never matched. So now outside the loop, what you do is, if this variable contains value as false remain, then you can say that message box value not found. Value not found. That's the logic. You got the logic what I am saying here. So I am just keeping one flag variable, you call it as a flag variable, and I am giving the default value as false, and change that variable value to true only when value is found. If the value is not found, don't change the value of that variable, keep it as false only. Now outside the loop, your validation is it a false or true? If it is true, that means it's updated. When it is updated, only when the value is found. It is not updated means condition was not matched. That means I did not get my expected name. So sometimes you need to use some extra variables like this. You call it as flag variables. Okay. Now you say here, it should say that value is not found because I have given the name as tester. Here it not matching. It says that value not found at the end. This is the logic. You should not say else here. If you say else directly, what happens is for every time it will loop through every name. If the first name is not matching, it will go to the else. Second name is not matching, again it will go to the else. Okay? So that's the use of flag variables. So sometimes you have to use some extra variables. You call them as flag variables. Set it as default value. In case if the condition matches, change the value. Once after the coming out of the loop, then you validate the default value of that variable. If the variable contains default value, that means inside a loop condition was not matched. If the variable contains non-default value, inside the loop condition was matched. Okay, so this is how you read the data from Notepad. Okay, so let's take some more examples here. Okay, so I have some text this time. I'll say this is an example for vbscript. This can be used in anywhere, wherever we need to read data. This example also can be used in UFT. Okay, and in UFT we use this for data parameterization, something like that, or creating log file. So this example we also use this example in creating log file. Okay, something that is, this time some lines of code that I have written here, sorry, some lines of text we have written. Now my requirement here is I want to know in how many lines example is found. I'll give the word here. Let's take this and let me take this same file that whatever we're using. I just updated the text and str val equals to example. Okay, so my requirement here is I want to display all the lines. I want to display all the lines, whatever the line contains that word, whatever the word that I have given there. The word I have given is example, and I want to display all the lines, whatever the line, not all the lines, whatever the line which has got that word inside it. How do we do that? Question is back to you. You don't need to, you don't need to tell any method or anything. Just give me the high level logic. Could be possibility. Manually, how do you do that? When the same requirement comes manually, assume you are a manual tester now, you are not an automation tester. Okay, because you should be clear on what you have to do. So now assume you are a manual tester, you are not an automation tester. So manually, how do you do that? You are doing it already, but only thing is you just have to explain what you are doing. How do we do? You go line by line. First you read first line, right? In the first line, see that example is there or not. If example is there, you display that. After that, go to the second line. In the second line, you check example is there or not. If it is not there, then don't display it. Move to the third line. So you have to go line by line. In every line you have to see example is there or not. Now, how do you read line by line? Now come to the technical part. You are automation tester now. You have to write a script. How do we do that? First, okay, what you have to do? You need to read line by line. That is a basic thing. Then how do we do that? Do until end of stream returns true and read line inside. Notepad.read line. So it will read line by line. This time line is not just name. It will be one string, one complete value. One sentence is there in each line. Now, whatever the value that I read, nothing but a line. In that line, every line whatever I am reading, inside that line I need to verify whether that example is there or not. If the example is there, you say message box that line, else not required. No need to display. Then the question is here, how do you know that this word is there in that line or not? That is a big question here. Got what I am saying here? So first I will read this text. In this text I need to verify whether example is there or not. Somebody told. So we use something called InStr. What is the use of InStr function? Yeah, it's not only the first occurrence. You can also find second or third occurrence by changing the input. But the purpose of InStr is to find or to verify certain value, substring you call it as. The expected word is a substring you call it as. See whether the substring is found in the main value or not. That's what the use of InStr. We have seen it. Okay, but we have seen individually that time. But now we got into the situation based and we have to use it, along with the different methods and all. Okay, now here what you use to see whether that example, str value is nothing but example here, example is there in that line or not, whatever the line I am reading. Then how you can say now InStr of 1 comma, that means start from first character of every line, 1 comma, str line, whatever the line that you are reading, comma, str word, whatever the word you have given, comma, 1. 1 I am giving because what is that last one? Comparison mode, text mode or binary mode. So now sometimes what happens is I have given the example as small, but inside this text file they might have given in uppercase or any camel case or sentence case you can call it as. Okay, so that case should not be a matter. So that's the reason the last input I am giving as 1. 1 I am asking to do it in text comparison. Don't do it in binary comparison. When you do it in binary comparison, then if the value is in a different case, then it may return 0. InStr may return 0, saying that value is not found. So that should not happen. So I am doing it as text comparison. Now, by taking that, how my logic should work now is, say do until notepad dot at end of stream equal to true. Do until at end of stream equals to true. Then read text. str line equals to notepad dot read line. You are reading the line one by one line. You are reading here. Then what you say is if InStr of 1. What is mean by 1 here? Start position. Start reading from first character of every line. Comma str line. Str line is nothing but main string. In this line I need to search. Comma what I need to search again? Str val. Str val is nothing but the value what I am looking for. Nothing but example. Comma 1. 1 is nothing but text comparison here. Is not equal to 0. What is mean by not equal to 0? If it is 0, it is not found. If it is some number, it is found. What it returns exactly? If the example is found in the main string, it returns the position at which character example is found. If that example is not found, it will return 0. That means it is not found. If it is not 0, then message box str line, display that line. If it is not 0, display that, otherwise don't display it. Searching for value in all the lines. Okay, so it displayed, example is there, displayed it, example is there, displayed it, example is there, displayed it. Remaining lines are not displayed. The reason because remaining lines don't have the example word. But we did not learn any new method here. So the methods we have already learned, but just a different logic, that's it. Where we can use InStr. So this example also can be considered for InStr as well. So all the built-in functions, whatever we have learnt earlier, will be repeating one by one. Okay, so InStr is used for this, to see whether a substring can be a word or any character or anything. Okay, so see a substring is found in the main value or not, main string. Okay, now what I need is next, in case if the value is found, or if the I don't want to display in the message box. Whatever the lines got example word, what I am doing here, I am displaying it in one message box. But I should not do that. What I have to do is create one more text file, create one more new file. Okay, whatever the lines have got example word, write all these lines in the new file. Got what I am saying here? Whatever the lines have got example word, take those lines, then write only those lines in another file. So what should I do now? Now here we are reading line by line and we are verifying example is there or not. But in case if the example is there, what we are doing now? We are displaying in a message box. But that's not what I want. Instead of using message box, what I should do is, I need to write it in another file. What should I do now? That file is not created. I have to create that file. What should I do? You got my question here? Question is, whatever the line has got example word, write that line in one more notepad. What should I do? Simple it is. File is not there, but the requirement says that you have to write in new file. So according to the requirement, what you should do? You need to create one file. How do you create the file? Create text file method. By using create text file, you create a new file. Then what you have to do? After reading from this, if this line has got that example word, write this line in the file which you have created. What method you use to write the line? Use write line method. Right? So now what you do here? Set o new file equals to ofso dot create text file of take this logic, sorry, take this path. Path is this. Create text file of new file dot txt. So what I am doing, I am creating a file. I am taking that created file into another variable called o new file. Then instead of using message box, o new file dot write line, and then whatever the lineage is found, then it will be it. Now if you run this, you can see one more file has been created. All the lines have been written here. Okay, so this is how. So this is how you read the data from one notepad and write into another notepad. Okay, so we'll stop here today. Okay, and I will give you some exercises.